Today on the We Invested podcast, we have Oz Konar, and he is the founder of Business Lending Blueprint. Oz, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Wesley. Great to be here. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, and this is a topic that I'm very excited to learn more about.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. So let's just jump right into it. What is Business Lending Blueprint?
Business Lending Blueprint is an e-learning platform where we people how to become business loan brokers. So many people who join our platform, they either have a 9 to 5 job or they're very entrepreneurial, but they haven't found the right vehicle to build their own business yet. So they find us online through various media such as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Not only they learn how lending in general works in the United States and Canada, and they can get funding for themselves, but they can help other businesses get access to capital, and through that they make money, they build a business.
That's awesome. So, how did you get started in this space?
Honestly, just by doing it. I was a business loan broker myself in New York City, so I work with small businesses and help them get access to capital for many, many years. I was a door-to-door salesperson. I've done telemarketing, cold calling, any type of sales. You might have think I've done all of that. So I noticed that the most profitable product to offer was the money. Money is the sexiest product you can sell, right? Whether you have any sales experience or not, it kind of sells itself. So I've done that for many years, then started building my own business, had my own brokerage, then started teaching others how to do that because it's been, the growth of this industry has been explosive for the past couple of years. And I want as many people as possible to take advantage of this.
For sure. So, how would you say your role in corporate America helped to prepare you for your current business today?
Honestly, mostly it helped me see why I need to be out of it. It gives you that full sense of security, like having a job. It gives you that full sense of security that you're getting paid every single week and everything's fine. But as I was climbing the corporate ladder, I noticed that the ending is not really fun for corporate jobs. Right? I've seen my superiors getting fired when they're like 55, 60 years old while they're making $250,000. And now they have to replace that income and they haven't done anything else for all those years. So I noticed that that game was broken. I didn't want to be a part of that. So that taught me, it was like a wake up call for me, which many people have been going through the pandemic, right? So they all felt like the job is a safety net, and all of a sudden you notice, boom, it's really not the case. So I've learned a lot about what not to do than what to do in the corporate environment.
That's awesome. So, how would you describe the alternative lending industry?
The alternative lending industry, any type of lending that's not bank related lending, right? So most people, most businesses, individuals, if I were to ask the average person where they would get access to capital, they would probably tell me, oh, I'm going to go to my bank, PNC Bank, Bank of America, whatever bank they do their transactions with, where they have their personal account, business account, they would go and apply either online or in person to get a loan. For small businesses, by small I mean 1 to 20 employee, like which is most businesses out there, that option of getting funding through a traditional bank is close to impossible. The decline rate on a loan application is about 85%, which is crazy, right? So that means more than 8 out of every 10 applications are declined. So an alternative lending is over a $3 trillion industry that provides funding to businesses when they can't get funding through traditional means. So that means that if they're buying an equipment, like a machine to perform their business, they can get funding. If they're getting large invoices, for example, if a company is doing painting job for Walmart and Walmart gives them a check, usually they give the check in the form of net 30, net 60, net 90. That means that you can't really cash it before 90 days is complete, right? So they can get funding for that. So they can use invoices they get paid immediately. If they need working capital, like a fridge breaks, or you need to buy something else that's kind of urgent and you need like $30,000, $40,000, you can get funding through that. So we have like more than a dozen different lending options. when you just put them all together, that industry is called alternative lending because they're alternative to any kind of bank lending. And when I first started in this industry, which was right after 2008 recession, no one really knew much about this. Right now, because of our network, we're the biggest lending organization, broker training organization in the world with more than 3,000 brokers. Now it's a lot more known, and that leads to a lot more opportunities out there because most businesses do not even know their options, and alternative lending helps them get access to capital through our resources.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's kind of like you're letting the cat out the bag, basically letting people know there's just multiple ways you can get funded, not just going through the big banks.
100%, because if going for the big banks a lot of times is a waste of time. I think through the pandemic, there was an article that came out in Financial Times. A small business, I think it was like a microbrewery in Brooklyn. They needed like $50,000, right? So they needed to buy some kind of machine. I forgot what it was. They went through Wells Fargo and applied for a small business loan. It took Wells Fargo 10 weeks to give them a response back. And the response was a decline letter saying that you're declined. So when you think about it, if you're a corporate, you might afford to be waiting that long because decisions are kind of slow. When you're a tiny company, no one can afford to wait 10 weeks to get a no response, right? That's why alternative lending helps them get capital in 48 to 72 hours, sometimes as little as 24 hours. That's why it becomes the main preference for many businesses. But the problem, like you said, is they don't really know that option. They really do not, no one is informing them. So that's why becoming a consultant in this industry is super valuable because you're giving people the option that they can choose from versus going through big banks and waiting on their timeline or calling the 1-800 number and hopefully someone answers and you get some kind of response.
Interesting, interesting. So you've grown like multiple seven-figure businesses. So how would you say that process is, or what mindset is required in order to grow a business to that size?
It's the mindset should be of focusing on solving your problem. Many people, when they start a business, they focus on making money, right? Which is normal. When you're in the survival mode, you got to focus on making money. But businesses who go beyond that level to be built in seven figures and eight figures are the ones who focus on solving a problem or resolving a need, right? So when you think big companies, Apple phones, for example. I'm not an Apple person, but many people I know, they're Apple people. Is it really solving your problem? Maybe not, but it is satisfying a desire to make things easier, smoother, user-friendly, right? That's why smartphone took over the planet Earth. This is the same thing. If you want to grow a company beyond proportion, beyond just making $5, $10, $20,000 a month, you got to be customer centric, like Jeff Bezos says at Amazon.com, right? And focus on solving your problem, not making money. If you focus on just making money, yeah, you'll take your business from 0 to maybe 10, 20, 30K. But if you want to build a 7 and 8 figure business, that mindset should shift from survival to serving. How do we serve the customers and solve a bigger problem? That was my main motivation. And to this day, it is still the case. We have a very successful platform, but every day we wake up with the idea, all right, how do we improve this even more? How do we help our customers get more results faster through the best tools this industry has ever seen? I think that's the secret that many people miss. They just, people are in the hustle mode. I got to hustle. That's fine to get something off the ground. But if you want to be a millionaire or build a multi-million-dollar company, hustle alone is not enough. That's a temporary solution. You got to have a real solution for a real problem, and people need to appreciate that.
For sure, for sure. So, why do you believe it's the best time to become a business loan broker?
Yesterday. And the second best time is today. That's for entrepreneurship, right? So you might have heard Mark Cuban and all the others have said that. But honestly, that's the case because, for example, through the pandemic, we had many people funding a ton of deals. Right now, pandemic is still there. Obviously, there's a lot unknown. Whether you like it or not, whatever you believe, whatever you choose to believe or not, this is a different story. But right now, the industry is booming because many businesses believe that pandemic is behind us, and now they need funding to come back live or buy equipment, hire more people, buy out their competition, buy inventory, right? So it's booming right now. So it's the best time. If you didn't join yesterday, today is the best time to start this business. And I'm not just saying this because I'm from the industry, because I'm an entrepreneur. I have multiple businesses. Honestly, I tell all my students too, if you were to take me and drop me into a city with a notepad and a pen, I would start this business and start generating revenue within a week, right? Because think about what else you could be selling. Like, you got to sell something in the world of business, whether you like sales or not. What is easier than selling money to somebody? Like, whether someone wants to start a business or they are already in business, that's such an easy and natural conversation to start. And when you have the back end taken care of, meaning that you have access to the lenders, you know how to run these deals, and you know you have the team that can handle that, that becomes relatively easy. Of course, this is not a get rich quick scheme. You got to do the work. You know, that's the business is, that's how it works. But yeah, I think that's why it's really, really important for people to make a decision, to decide to be entrepreneurial first, then find the right vehicle for them. If you ask me, obviously, my right vehicle is becoming a business loan broker.
That's awesome. So, earlier you mentioned that, um, you have kind of multiple streams of income. So, why is that important to you, or why is that significant for you to have multiple streams of income?
Well, I mean, I have actually a video that explains why the myth of multiple streams of income is a big lie, right? Many people, when they start a business, they are immediately like, I got to have multiple streams of income. Well, first, you got to create the first one. You can't have multiple streams of income when you have nothing going on, right? So the main thing is, I always talk about niching down. Focus on one thing, make it work, have it bring you sustainable income, then focus on creating multiple streams of income in parallel industries, right? So the biggest mistake, the misunderstanding, I guess, in the definition of multiple streams of income that most people have, they start a networking business, then they go start doing Uber, then they want to start an e-commerce business, then they go partner up with somebody to start another business. And when you ask them why they're so distracted, they're like, oh, I'm creating multiple streams of income, right? That's not how it works. You have to focus into something, whatever that is, for a certain amount of time to make a dent. So you're generating income and you automate that as much as possible. Then with the excess cash, you can do other things. So you build them one at a time. If you look at Richard Branson, he has 400 plus businesses, right? But he started with one of them. Berkshire Hathaway, right? So Warren Buffett, he always says that have a cash cow business first, then take that money and apply it to other areas, right? That's the principle of multiple streams of income. And I apply it the same way. For 5 years straight, I gave myself to only one business, but I made the mistake of owning four of them at some point. And my mentor said, you're crazy. One day he made me pull up my legal pad and had me write down the revenue being generated on all four of them. Only one of them was merely generating any revenue. The others were just ventures that I was feeling good about getting involved with. If someone asked me, what do you do? I'm like, I own multiple businesses. But the reality, only one of them was generating a substantial income. So I dropped all three and focused on one thing only. And there's a book on that one thing, the one thing. So I suggest anyone to read this. Once you get one thing working, then you can spread your wings and pretty much generate multiple streams of income. Otherwise, people use it as an excuse to jump from one business to another. Grass is greener, bright, shiny object syndrome, right? They just see, oh, I'll start that too, while this one is growing. Well, this one is not going to grow itself. You got to grow that first before you jump to other things. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, most definitely. And especially in my generation, you can see it, like the people kind of want instant gratification.
Mm.
So, they jump from business to business trying to make a quick dollar, but like you said, it really takes time and focus to grow one steady and solid revenue.
100%. Yeah, instant gratification is the biggest enemy to this generation and any future generations too. Business, most things do not work that way, right? You just got to be patient, and the biggest asset someone can have is the ability to stay focused for a longer period of time and use the samurai methods, right? So if you probably know how they train themselves, they would stare at a candle flame for as long as they can. And someone who sees it for the first time, they wouldn't understand why they would do that, right? The goal for them is to practice the amount of time they can stay focused on one thing. So they're sitting down, there's one candle lit up, they're focusing on the flame for hours and hours. So someone looking from outside might think they're crazy, but they're building that discipline. Once you build that discipline can be transferred to other areas. So you can take one business, focus on that. And honestly, people, overestimate the amount of time required. So if you honestly give yourself 2 full hours a day when you have the right vehicle, but truly focused on it, not 2 hours while you're checking your Facebook and Instagram, but two hours of focus time per day, and give yourself a month, you'll accomplish great things. Because don't forget that most people they can't stay focused for 5 minutes, right? And they can't stay alone on their own. So they're afraid of their own presence. So they want to distract themselves with the apps, the TikTok, YouTube. And I'm a marketer, so I'm not hating those platforms, but the way people use it is counterproductive for them. So they just let their time being sucked by those apps, while you can use it for productive purposes to make money, to build any type of business that you want, right? I just represent the business that I believe is the best one, but I might be biased. But what I tell people all the time is just practice principles. Principles do not change. Consistency is key. And just focus on staying consistent on one thing and one thing only.
No, that's awesome. And that's a great quote, what you say, practice principles.
100%, man, because other things change, right? Look, I mean, years ago, you would remember it, MySpace was a thing. Everyone was on MySpace, right? And now it's gone. Now it's Facebook. On Facebook is half gone. Instagram, TikTok. These are platforms, not principles. But I know people who are making a ton of money off of MySpace. I know people who are making a ton of money through Facebook. Now Instagram, TikTok. Why? Because the platform does not matter. Principles matter, right? So if you use the platform for a certain purpose, I don't care if Facebook is gone tomorrow. It'll be replaced by something else. But what won't be replaced is the time you wasted on those platforms with non-productive stuff. So I'm quite passionate about this. Although I'm an online marketer, I have an app that blocks my new Facebook newsfeed. Why? Well, if someone is alcoholic, what is the first thing you do to cure the problem? You remove alcohol from the house. You don't want to test their discipline while they're staring at the bottle right there. Same thing is that people are addicted to social media. What is the first thing you do? Well, you remove it from your life. You only use it for revenue generating activities. And this message is for entrepreneurial people, right? If you have a job right now and you're like, I don't even know what to do, man. Like, if I don't use social media, I don't know what to do. Well, figure it out. What would you do if you can do anything, right? You're not going to just think about something for 5 seconds and you're going to have this bright idea. Give yourself 2 hours, 3 hours, make yourself very uncomfortable. Success starts at the end of your comfort zone, right? So you got to be uncomfortable to change your current situation, especially if you're not happy with your current situation.
Right. No, I agree 1000%. And I think that's a great segue into the next question. So, before we started recording, I was telling you that you had a great social media presence. So how would you say that social media has impacted or improved your business?
So for 3 years, we only focused on one social media channel, which is YouTube. So we have close to 20,000 subscribers. I haven't touched anything else. I had the account, but I wasn't doing anything there. So we practice what we preach here. I just focused on one thing because there was just a lot going on, so many social media channels, and it's tempting, right? As a business owner, you're like, gosh, I'm probably missing out on Instagram. I just jump on Instagram, do that. Oh, there's TikTok. You got to do TikTok. And I catch myself. I'm like, well, what are you doing, dude? This is not good. You can't be good at everything. You can't be especially great at everything. So you can be great at one thing. So we just ramped up our YouTube. And naturally, once we automated that process, we noticed we have a lot of our audiences on Instagram, and they want to reach out and find out, first of all, if I'm a real person or not, right? So it's my personal Instagram. So I started spending more time there. Someone who saw me on YouTube would find me on Instagram and message me like, hey, dude, I just want to see if you're real or not. I'm like, hey, I am pretty real. Yeah, that's fine. And then that started catapulting itself. Then I noticed that it's taking up a lot of my time. So I found an agency that would manage my social media and pass it off to them. As I was telling you, I only check my messages on Instagram. I don't check anything else because I want that to be authentic. I personally respond back. Other than that, I don't really care what's happening out there. I only have like, I don't know, 80 or 90 followers. And these are all the people that I know in person. So I don't need to have like 5,000 people that I don't really know who they are. And that's how I manage it. And we're primarily juggle between YouTube and Instagram, and that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what is the importance of having a good team, and how did you focus on building your team?
Yeah, I didn't understand this up until like 2 years ago. I thought I can do, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. That was my principle, right? But I burnt out pretty fast, especially when you're having an organization that's scaling really, really fast beyond my own capability and time allotment. I burnt out. I noticed that, oh, I need to have people. Then I started hiring people just to solve the problems. I don't really care about the team culture and all that stuff. Well, that didn't work out. That fell apart. At some point, we were like 15 people. And at some point, I didn't even know some of the people on my team, honestly. So I had a manager. She was hiring them. And I thought things are working. Then you notice that, oh, they're not really working. And this is not working out. Then I noticed the power of really good people and how much you can accomplish with one person versus having 5 people doing similar jobs. Once I started focusing and understanding on the importance of building the right team, we downsized down to 2 people. And right now we're running an 8-figure organization with only 6 people. Why? Because it's really important for me to know that the person I hire has that startup mentality, right? We're not a corporation. I quit corporations, working for corporations, because I didn't like their structure. So I didn't want to be another one myself. For that reason, we only hire really skilled people who can get the job done, and they're really, really passionate about what we do here. They don't just see it as a job that they finish it at the end of the day and they go back at 5 p.m. They have the feeling of ownership through this BLB platform, right? That's why we can accomplish a ton with a tiny team, and we're so connected to each other. One thing I'll tell, if anyone from your audience is listening and they think team building is secondary, that's really, really not the case. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing a disservice to your customers and your future customers too. So I always brag about my team and how they're passionate about what they do. And we're currently going through a hiring spree. We're going to be adding 2-3 more people to our team. And what I look for is that passion. You know, of course, their past experience, who they are, and all that stuff, that's important. But at the end of the day, are they going to be passionate about what we do? Or are they just putting on this interview mask just to make it look good so they can land a job, right? So it is way more important than people put value on it. If you listen to interviews from Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, you'll notice, and Google is the best platform when it comes to hiring people. They focus so much. They spend millions of dollars creating processes to hire the right people, because hiring the wrong person has so much cost that costs you more than that. It gives you agony. It hurts your reputation, and you spend all this time interviewing people. You hire someone and find out 2 weeks later they're not the right person. Well, that's bad. That's really not good. Then you got to go back and start again, right? So it's super important to build an organization with the right culture. But if you want to get one thing right, if you just focus on hiring passionate people, that's all you have to do, honestly. That's what I look for every day when I'm talking to and interacting with people.
That's awesome. So, when you first started hiring people and kind of looking for staff members, was it difficult to like turn over the reins, or was it hard to like fully trust someone else to run a business and kind of carry out your vision?
100%, because I'm an A-type personality. I'm dominant, so I just only wanted to pass stuff off of to them for them to just deal with the crumbs. I didn't trust anyone to take on certain responsibilities, because I truly thought that I created this. This is my baby, and only I can do it the best, right? So I was totally wrong. That led me to only hire like low quality assistants who would just do things, and a lot of times they wouldn't have anything to do. They would just stand on the side and be like, I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to piss this guy off. I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone was confused, right? And that's why I invest a ton into mentorships. And one of my mentors said, you're not doing this the right way. You're not going to grow. You're going to be stuck here. You're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to get depressed over time, because you're not really looking for somebody to delegate stuff. You're just looking for somebody to clean up after you. That's not the way to look at your employees. You got to see them as your equals, right? So that when you give them a responsibility, they have to have the ownership that they can make their own decisions. They're responsible to you, but they're more responsible to the organization, to the entity. You can't see yourself as the person who created this. This is an organization. Everyone has their own pieces. So that was a massive mindset shift that took place, that took time. But then I noticed, all right, I was doing this totally wrong. This is the right way to do it. And that's when we jumped from a tiny company to the organization we're growing into right now in a relatively short amount of time.
So, I heard you mention a mentor twice now. So what would you say is the importance of having a mentor, and what situation or event led you to the realization that I need to get a mentor?
Yeah, I don't really like trial and error. It's painful. Because you only have so much time, you only have so much resources, and if you try to figure it out yourself, I mean, most of business have been figured out already, honestly. So you're not really figuring anything out. You're kind of training yourself. So a lot of people will say things like, "Oh, let me figure this business out." No, no, no. Most of the business, as I mentioned in the beginning, is based on principles. You're just selling different products and services, right? So how to succeed in business has been figured out like centuries ago. It's just, are you going to follow on their footsteps, or are you going to try to do your own thing and go through trial and error, lose years and a ton of money and confidence and trust and reputation? So once I noticed that early on, I said, it is kind of silly not to get mentorship. So then let's say I'm learning online marketing, I would go find the best person that does online marketing. And initially I didn't have money, so I would put it on the credit card and still learn from that person. That expedites the process. That's how you become world class. Otherwise, doing it on your own, it might give you that sense of satisfaction you completed something. But don't forget that there are a million other people who are competing with you at the same level, and these people are getting mentorship from somebody else. Like when I choose a mentor, I usually want to hire someone whose company is at 10x than my company. If my company is making 5 million, I want to talk to somebody whose company is making 50 million or more. They can look at my company and identify, all right, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you suck at this, go fix this and come back, right? So that saves so much time. As of now, annually, I'm spending more than $100,000 on my own education through events and masterminds and one-on-one mentorship, group mentorship. I have my own community of people who are at similar levels and higher levels. Why? Because it just adds so much. It humbles you. Otherwise, if, as they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're the loser in the room, right? Because you're not growing anymore. You think you're made. There's no place to go, which is the horrible place to be in business. If you want to stay in business, you got to stay sharp and you got to keep investing in yourself. There is really no other way.
No, that's awesome. So, um, what I guess what's the importance of creating those new relationships, especially in your specific industry? What's the importance of like networking and relationship building?
It shows you what's missing from the industry. Honestly, you take a pulse of the industry, because I have my own perspective. A lot of times you notice that, oh, my own perspective was not really accurate. And when you talk to somebody else who's been in the industry for 20 plus years, and you might not like their approach, but you cannot deny they have certain type of perspective because they've talked to thousands of customers. So I might not take their model and apply it to my company, but they might say something. I'm like, I had many aha moments. For example, I was being interviewed by the industry leading newsletter, right? They invited me to their office in Brooklyn, and they do this video shooting and they ask me questions. I'm the one receiving the questions, but one comment he made, because this guy published countless magazines and he creates the industry events, it was a light bulb moment for me that I never thought about it. And I dug deeper into it and I asked him, and that led to a partnership between us at the end of that interview, right? So that would not have ever happened if I didn't take time to go there and talk to them, try to be a good listener and understand. I will never be in his business, but he is from the industry. There's a lot to collaborate. So I think as you're growing, it's tempting to think that you know everything. But when you notice something that a new perspective, it humbles you, right? So it's really, really important to stay hungry. So that way you open yourself to exposure from different ideas, because it's very parallel to what you're doing, and you might be missing this all this time. And those epiphany moments, the aha moments, are the moments that allow you to jump from 7 figures to 8 figures, or make a massive shift and lead the industry. I keep giving examples from Jeff Bezos. That's how he noticed. It was an online book sales company, right? But he noticed that there's a massive problem with how people buy products and services. They have to jump in your car, drive to a retail store, find the aisle, pick it up, put it in your cart, go to the cash register. He said, this is ridiculous. What if we make it available online? So that would not have happened if he didn't pay countless visits to Walmarts and all of other places, right? So that's very important to stay connected in your industry to get inspiration. And it's an early warning system also if you're doing something wrong. You notice that you're like, this, I would have spent so much time and money on this. I now see where it's heading because of someone else who's been in the industry maybe longer than you.
That's awesome. That's some really great advice, actually. Um, so what would you say is your favorite thing or favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
The results we get for people, the results we help them get. We don't get it for them, they get it themselves. But when I see someone transitioning from what they do and reaching a certain level, I think when I first started out, let me just backtrack. When I first started a business, I was in the survival mode, right? I come from a low income family. Money is always a problem. When you first start, you don't have this grand mission of helping people. You just want to survive. You just want to make money, right? So what gave me that satisfaction was me making money. But as we grew and we noticed that, if we improve our product, that helps other people make money. That's why they say that helping is a selfish act. It helps you the most, right? That's what happens when you help someone reach a certain milestone and they come back and say, thank you for introducing this to me. That gives me a lot more satisfaction than me directly making money, right? So that's my biggest source of satisfaction. That's what makes me wake up in the morning and constantly work on improving our product, and just drives me every single day. Is that I want to see just more people reach those milestones and help them move from a neighborhood that they're not really happy with, or quit their job, or put their kids to a better school. Or I have people who are been driving trucks for all their lives and their back is breaking, and doctor tells them, listen, if you don't stop doing this, you're not going to be able to walk. In 2-3 years, they don't have any other option. You see that person working from home and now their health is back to normal and they're happier and all that stuff. So when you hear, we have countless stories like that, I can hardly sleep because of that, right? So it just gets me going.
That's awesome. So what would you say is the single most important reason for your success?
Consistency. You got to show up every day. That's just not just my success. Any person that I see who is massively successful, I see massive amount of focus and consistency. You can't do something once and expect to have massive success, right? That's why you see people investing in, for example, cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not bad. A lot of people just putting money, they want to make money 10x their money into 2 days, right? That's not long-lasting success. Usually it's the consistency. If you want to play the investment game, you got to invest in learning about what's going on, what you're investing in, right? Same thing with the business. I think the person who stays longer in business wins for the long term. Someone might have little spikes here and there, but the players who are going to be in for the long term are the ones who are consistently putting in the work.
No, I agree 1000%. So how would you like for people to remember you and your companies?
I want to be remembered as someone who helped a million people become millionaire. That's our mission. It could be beyond my lifetime, who knows? But my mission is to help a million people become millionaires, pretty much through our system, or through the inspiration they get from talks like this, or through something that I said or I've done, with the help of our program and our team. That's my mission.
What does the future of business lending BluePrint look like to you?
Our goal is to democratize lending platform, because right now what's happening is there are businesses who are not aware of their options. There are people who are not aware of this option of becoming a broker. So we're working on being the hub for both parties. If someone needs lending, we want to be the primary source for them to get their education. Also, we want to be the primary source for someone who is becoming a broker or a lender. So they just use our platform for all of that. So it's a platform that represents fairness for all parties. A business owner can never be taken advantage of by someone who's following shady practices. Also, a broker has access to all the tools he or she needs to build this business to the level they want to take it.
That's awesome. Oz, thank you so much for your time today. But before we get out of here, at the end of every podcast, we like to play a rapid fire question game where I ask you 3 questions. So if you're willing to play, I'll go ahead and ask.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, question number 1. Where's your favorite place to travel?
Mexico.
Okay. Why Mexico?
I just came from there and I fell in love with it, so I want to keep going back.
For sure. All right, question number 2. What song explains your life the most?
Well, it's Eye of the Tiger. I'm a big Rocky fan, so I grew up
Yeah,
with that. So the underdog story always, I fall in love with that. So definitely the Eye of the Tiger.
that's dope. And look, final question. What's an amazing thing that you did that no one was around to see?
Oh, I don't really know, man. I don't like giving myself a lot of credit for amazing things, but I don't know. I guess it could be like, yeah, oof, tough one. Yeah, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, dude.
Nah, it's all good. Oz, thank you so much for your time. You dropped a lot of gems, and I definitely learned a lot throughout this podcast. So I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Great questions.
Yes, sir.